Hello, my crafty friends. Today I have a Halloween card to share that's interactive, and I just had so much fun making this card. So, as you can see, it's a larger than A2 card. It is folded 5 inches by 7 inches. It's a gatefold card, and it's held closed with a belly band. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the belly bands later on because I get a lot of questions when I use a belly band as to what my measurements are. People often struggle with belly bands, making them too tight or too loose. So I will address that in a little bit. And the other thing is, I don't like having to give someone instructions on how to open their card. And sometimes you add a belly band to a card. I mean, card makers know what to do. It's second nature to them. They know you slide off the belly band. But I've actually given cards to people who with a belly band and they go, "Well, this is very nice, but how do I open it?" So they also generally turn it over looking for some way to open the card. So I did write on mine with a white pen, "Slide off." So it's very self-explanatory without me like kind of writing a note to tell them what to do. So belly band slides off. It's called a shutter card, and the pieces inside open like a camera lens shutter. I'm thrilled with this. One, I like the size because if you follow me, you know I've been doing this a long time and I have been making A2 cards a very long time. So I love it when I can break away from an A2 card. Now there's lots of companies have die sets for making a shutter card. Sometimes they're called peekaboo cards. Shutter cards have been around for many years. I was watching some of the tutorials here on YouTube recently because I was trying to decide if I would use a shutter card die set enough to add it to my collection. And I found some of the tutorials confusing. Not the measurements, etc. They were very clear. But this center panel here, some tutorials said, add foam tape or dimensionals here. Don't glue it flat down. Others said, make sure you glue it flat down. Don't use foam tape. These two shutters are essentially two deep fishtail banners. And some tutorials said to make sure that one is either on top of or behind the other. Make sure you don't alternate them. And other tutorials said, well, make sure you alternate. You have if this side is on top on this one, then it's on the bottom on this one. So I was going to give up on the whole tutorial thing because one, I like dies. I like my dies because I can't cut a straight line, and dies take all that guesswork out and lining everything up. I like to die cut them and be done. Then I found this tutorial on making a 5x7 shutter card. I am going to link her tutorial below because it's an amazing tutorial. First of all, her cards are beautiful and her instructions were very clear. So I'm going to direct you to her tutorial because she deserves the views on YouTube. So again, not being sure if it was going to work, I didn't want to invest any good cardstock. I've made cards before with templates or measurements online and wasn't that crazy about them, which again makes me realize why I like my dies. But I did do this one, so I just used some old cardstock from my stash and I put it together and it was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I can't wait to make one. So then I took my prototype and I wrote down her measurements. So this is a template that I made up for the actual shutter pieces, and I just have washi taped it in here so I can use it again the next time I make the card. I know where all my measurements are. It's handy to have a prototype, a mock-up, a sample, something that you can refer back to because I am definitely going to make more of these. In fact, I have a wedding one that I made the very next day because I was so tickled with this. The pattern paper is older pattern paper that I've had in my stash for several years. It's called Midnight Magic, and it was uphad by Recollections at Michael's. And the boo is from The Halloween Elements by Karen Burniston. And it cuts as a single piece, and I really like using it on my Halloween cards because it's very easy to adhere because it cuts as a single piece. And inside, at the very back, so glued to the black card base, is a little spider web patterned paper. And that was just, it was just big enough to fit inside, so I figured I would use that up as well. So I added some stickers from my stash. They're actually clear stickers, and they were probably from a dollar store in Canada. And I adhered them to white cardstock, then fussy cut them out. I like the glitter that they have. And a little signing block here. These circles, when I make a project, if there's leftover circles, like say the inside of this circle, this is a Lawn Fawn stitched circle frame. And it cuts the frame, so that inside piece falls away. If I wasn't going to use it on the card, I have a little bin that I put all my extra circles and stuff in. So that's where these two came from. I didn't have to do any extra die cutting. They were in there. I adhered them right to the card. And that's where we can sign our name. The mechanism works so smoothly. The card stands wonderfully for display, and it will display open. And what I like about this size, as opposed to some of the die sets that are out there for an A2 card, is I like the size. This opening is 2.5 inches. So there's a lot of space that you can add a sentiment or an image, versus some of them are barely an inch around. Or if they are larger, then they require a square card. And I don't like making square cards. I love the look of a square card. I just think a 6-inch square card is stunning, but they're very hard to mail, or they're more expensive to mail here in Canada. So I tend not to make very many square cards. 5x7, it feels good in your hand. And then the belly band. So this is the fall away circle from the frame. And the ghost, oh my goodness. If you've been stamping a long time, you'll recognize this ghost because it's many, many, many years old. And I stamped a whole bunch of them, and look how shiny it is. So even back in the day, I liked laminating or using transparencies or acetate on my cards. So this is a ghost by Zadie Earls, and I had stamped and laminated a whole bunch of them. I think my ideas at the time was I was using them with magnets on the back and adding them to cards with a note that they could be taken off and used on a file cabinet as a decoration, or a front door, or a fridge as a decoration with the magnets on the back. There's one more of the sparkly stickers from the same package as these ones. And the Happy Halloween, I don't know what font that is. I printed off a whole bunch many years ago, and they stay in my Halloween embellishment box. So every so often I think that's the perfect one, and I fussy cut one out, and you can see I popped it up here with foam tape. So that is my Halloween shutter card. And after I got it made, I thought, oh, I know exactly what I want to do for our niece's wedding card. I've been putting off making her card for weeks. And when I opened this card, after it was all finished, I opened it and I could picture I do inside the shutter. And I thought, nope, I know exactly what I'm going to do now for her card. And I've had to put away the shutter card idea for a little bit now. There's some new dies coming in from Karen Burniston that I need to work on some design team samples, but I will be making more of these shutter cards because I just think they're so cool. And of course, you know, with my love of acetate, I did add a panel of acetate inside because it's kind of fun to make it actually look like a camera lens with the glass on the other side. Now let's talk belly bands. I actually don't measure my belly bands. I don't measure them ahead of time because if I gave you a measurement and you used a lighter weight cardstock or a heavier weight cardstock, if you added more layers inside or outside, your depth is going to be different. So the measurement that I used on my belly band may not work on your card. This is just a strip taken from an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of cardstock. It's a scrap strip, so I'm going to use this as a sample. So it's 11.5 inches long. And I usually make them about an inch wide, but this strip was sitting there, so it's a little over an inch. Because like I said, it's a scrap destined for the recycle bin. So I lay it over my card, and then I roll it. I don't fold the edges in. I just roll it. You don't want to score a crease because you want it to be a little bit looser. And then you can just play with it until it feels like it will move for you. And I found that is kind of the best way to get a belly band to work for whatever project you're making, because every project that you make, unless you're making multiples of the same card that you need a belly band for, every project you make is going to have a little bit of a different depth or a different measurement. So I don't score it, I don't crease it really well. And here I have a glue dot. And so I will remove the backing and adhere that down. And there is my belly band. And it moves up and down easily. And then this is where, of course, you add your embellishment. Now you can also put the seam at the back and not cover it up at all. But if you're going to add something to the belly band, you might as well have a nice clean looking back side and then cover the seam with your embellishment. So I hope that helps answer some questions about a belly band. And if you think you might want to make a 5x7 awesome shutter card, I will have that video linked both on my blog, which will be linked in the description below, and I will also link the video that inspired me in the description box below. If you enjoyed my video today, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my interactive cards. And that is it for me today.